Oh my god, that was quick, Rexer. Yeah, where is it? I look like shit today. For every deer cameras. Dude, what is this chat? No, that's broken. It's actually so broken. Oh my god, it's so broken. What's up, dude? Dude, this motherfucker can use 3 rings? Oh, four. I just did air rune running. I made like 300k, but like at what cost? Whoa. Yeah, the javelins seem broken. Oh shit, that actually looks good. Oh, that actually looks really good. Apparently that's good. TFT set 5. It's not a downside. It's not even a downside. Everyone will just have. It's not hard to get energy shield. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Wait, that's just like, dude. The Lich thing is just Herald of. It's just Herald of Chaos. Oh wait, can you guys not hear the audio? Shit. 1 second. You hear it now? You hear audio now? No. Wait, so you can't hear anything that's happening on the screen? Fuck. Um. That's so weird.
Seeing which monsters serve you best. Now let's move on to our next skill. Since we've been talking about summoning undead so much, let's have a change of pace and summon something a little more alive. In Dawn of the Hunt, we're adding the Summon Rower skill.
Okay, gotcha.
Summon your friendly rower to aid you in combat as a minion. You can also mount your rower in combat at any time,
but dude, isn't that Lich
allowing you to move at full speed, even while shooting arrows or throwing spears. Be wary though, if you take too much damage while riding your mount, you can be knocked off and get overwhelmed. It's worth keeping an eye on your stagger bar, as falling off the mount can mean almost certain death.
Oh,
on the topic of new ways to enhance your character, let's talk about support gems. Support gems are used to modify your skill gems in meaningful and interesting ways.
Whoa,
currently we feel that a lot of builds have insufficient options here.
Wait, is the Roa
a
skill gem? Or is that an ability for the Huntress?
Support gems. Hema crystals will enable a new kind of bleed build, turning the damage over time you would have done into explosive Vile crystals. Alignment is a support gem for bow attacks, which can reward skilled players with good positional skills. Caltrops will allow you to litter the battlefield with hazards, slowing your foes as you fling spears through their ranks. But there's plenty more for every playstyle, such as Enormity, Unsteady Tempo,
critically strike, third crisis for damage.
Profanity,
Blue quirk, possible quirk.
Retaliate.
That doesn't seem good.
Syzygy. Yep, that's a real word.
That's more of like a, okay. You need to ignite in order.
Now we've talked about a new class,
I don't know about
new ascendancy classes, new skills, and new support gems. But let's not forget about the core of a true action RPG, the items.
Okay.
To start with, let's talk about uniques. We're adding over 100 new unique items.
Yeah, but aren't all uniques
this
like kind of
time,
trash?
We've made sure to add uniques with a focus on mid and endgame tiers to make sure there are more exciting items to find for higher level characters. Let's look at some examples.
Okay.
Embrace your inner devil with Chernobog's Pillar. It grants you a large amount of fire damage based on your block chance. The Coming Calamity allows you to become a true master of the elements, granting you all 3 Elemental Herald skills without costing any spirit. At the same time, it penalizes enemy resistances.
I mean, that's good if they don't just gut the Herald.
A single resource like Blood Magic or Archmage builds. With this belt, you can use 2 life flasks or 2 mana flasks. It's up to you.
That's not good.
Now, we could go through these all day, but we'll leave most of them for you to discover. Suffice to say, though, we want there to be way more cool things to find. Over time, our goal is to add a unique to every single base item type at a minimum, so that you can chance any base in the game. Now, given that we have the Huntress, we have a set of unique spears from early game all the way through the end game as well. One example is Scyther's Spear, which combines bleed and fire in a powerful way.
I think spear
allows your ignites to be aggravated, dealing substantially more damage. We're also introducing a suite of unique bucklers with some interesting parry mechanics. Kalgyra's Arc, for example, allows you to parry projectiles from any distance. And we're also adding our first unique charms. Bayra's Anguish will not only protect you from Ignite, but will also emit a devastating fire nova whenever you do get ignited. In sum, There's just a ton of new uniques to find. We can't wait to see the weird and broken builds that come out of it. Now, we also want to talk about crafting options. In each major update during early access, we'll be continuing to add and improve the options here. We have various new crafting tools that have been added as rewards to many of the different types of new content that we're adding. But for now, I just want to mention the changes to runes. Runes add commonly available mods, but since they only have one tier, flat damage mods tend to get outclassed by Endgame. So we've changed runes to have multiple tiers, allowing you to get higher tier mods than before. Our plan is to significantly expand the number of more specialized mods for crafting using socketables as we add new content over time. And the first new set of those comes from what we're talking about next. In Dawn of the Hunt, we're adding Azmerian wisps, which can be found throughout both the campaign and the endgame.
Unless they make the greater runes a lot rarer, that doesn't change.
The Azmeri spirit has made itself present in Rayclast, and it appears to be trying to warn, or maybe prepare us for the coming darkness. You will first encounter a manifestation of it in the Grellwood in Act 1, where you'll meet Delwyn, an Azmeri hunter who is trying to find out what exactly is causing the spirit to behave this way. As you approach the wisp, it will flee, leading you past monsters. Any monsters it comes into contact with are infused by it, making them more powerful. Each spirit is associated with a specific revered animal within Azmeri culture. This one is a wisp of the Great Bear, and grants enemies extra life and stun. The wisp moves faster the closer you are, and as you move away, they slow down to wait for you. But if you get too far away for too long, they'll dissipate and return to the woods. As you continue to chase the wisp, it will find and possess a rare or unique monster, granting it a new powerful ability. Because this was a wisp of the Great Bear, this monster now also has increased life and stun. But on top of that, it will periodically summon a large spectral bear that slams with wild fury.
Okay, so this is just the legal thing.
If you're able to defeat this foe, you will be rewarded. For each monster that was infused and killed along the way, the rewards will be increased. Each wisp has its own mechanics. The wisp of the Winter Owl is a primal wisp that causes enemies to deal extra cold damage, gain energy shield, and release wind vortices on death. When infusing a monster, they will call down large tornadoes to protect their host. The wisp of the Wild Cat is a vivid wisp that causes affected monsters to deal more critical strikes and become more evasive. When it infuses a monster, it will summon a barrage of feline spirits that will attempt to tear you limb from limb. If you're lucky, you may even find sacred wisps that can do some pretty crazy things to the monsters they influence. Like the wisp of the Cunning Fox, which turns normal monsters into magics, magic monsters into rares, and rare monsters into actual bosses.
Oh shit, that's pretty cool actually.
Azmerian wisps can drop a new set of socketable items that allow you to craft a wide range of interesting new mods onto your items. Each one may only be used on a specific item slot. As mentioned, the Azmerian wisps can be encountered throughout the game, but there's also a new endgame map called the Azmeri Ranges, a mountain village where the Azmeri once lived, now overrun with corrupt monsters.
That's true.
This map always has multiple Azmerian wisps in it.
Are talisman implicits?
Yet not quite the same boss fight.
If so, that doesn't actually change crafting.
Can also be further modified by the in-game atlas tree as well, and by tablets. But I'm not going to be the one talking about those things. In order to cover all the new content in in-game, I'm going to hand things over to Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. There's a ton to talk about with the endgame today, so let's dig right in. Path of Exile 2's early access began with a brand new endgame.
Let's give you a 10-year from scratch leak start, bro. We'll never see any of this content. Bro, okay, I'm playing the game. Let's not forget that. I will play the game first day.
Changes. The first thing is,
I'm getting so hyped, man.
A lot more content. In Dawn of the Hunt, we have made sure to focus on increasing the sheer number of interesting and different encounters you will randomly stumble into as you explore the endgame. And the second goal is to smoothen the progression through maps.
I'm playing first game. I'm playing first day. I'll see most of this content. Don't worry.
To start with, let's talk about the new interesting stuff to find.
This guy doesn't have a fucking filter?
Well, the most obvious thing to add are new maps. As well as the Azmeri Ranges that Jonathan mentioned earlier, Dawn of the Hunt also contains 7 other new maps, all with their own custom encounters. Let's start with this one.
The Feral Megaliths map starts off in the wild Azemite forests. As you progress through the forest, you will find mysterious rune-carved stones that, when touched, surge with energy. After activating all the stones, you can find a grand henge, where all the energy is coalescing. You can then start an encounter. The area darkens, a storm moves in, and a concentration of energy summons a dangerous boss. You must fight and defeat the boss to get its rewards. Once you have defeated it, summon another. And another. And another. And another. You have 10 total waves of boss fights which get incrementally more difficult. If you manage to defeat them, you get full boss rewards, but also opportunities to get new runes. These can only be obtained from this map. The Fractured Lake contains a surreal waterscape with fractured mirror-like objects. As you move around the map, the terrain itself elevates from below, creating the ground you walk on. In this unique map, all the rare monsters are mirrored, so you're always fighting two of the same rare at the same time, which can prove quite difficult. If you manage to overcome that challenge and make it to the end of the map, you'll be presented with a broken mirror, a powerful altar-like object that contains an item within it. The item contained within is a new base type, either an amulet or a ring, that can be crafted to have additional prefixes or suffixes at the cost of the other. The last unique map we'll show today is one based around the essence mechanic. You enter a crystalline cavern, and you will find a powerful map boss imprisoned in the center. It is surrounded by many rare monsters, also imprisoned in essences. By freeing and defeating the rare monsters, the essence they held will be upgraded to a greater essence. And be added to the imprisoned map.
Like, that's to me the most broken thing in this set for sure. Or sorry, in this league. Because the hunter is gonna be broken, and the hunter can wear 3 rings. So if you can craft turbo rings like that, it's GG, no?
Speaking of essences, alongside visual improvements, you're now able to apply Varlorbs to corrupt the essences with a range of unpredictable outcomes. It could increase the number of essences, reroll all the essences to the same type, or even upgrade the essences to greater essences. What if they're already greater essences? Well, it can upgrade those too. We have 4 new corrupted essences. Essence of Hysteria, Delirium, Horror, and Insanity. In combat mechanics. For example, the Essence of Insanity causes you to question even your own mind, as monsters split into shadowy clones, and you must locate the real one before a devastating icy explosion freezes everything around it. Each of these has their own crafting outcomes. The Essence of Insanity can be applied to a belt. It adds a mod that will ensure the next Varlorb used on the belt will guarantee adding 2 enchantments. It's worth noting all the essences in the unique map can also be corrupted too.
That even
if
good?
You're willing to risk it.
I don't even know if that's good.
We've also added 10 extra Atlas passive points you can earn by completing
Can't wait for you to
5
ruin another one of my
maps.
GGG ring.
Now, new maps are just the beginning. We
This
had a
is a
goal
huge
where
update,
we wanted
though.
to make sure you were
This is
constantly
huge.
finding exciting new content, and that it could be lurking around any corner. So, we have
so
added
much
a bunch
content.
of new things that you could stumble into in any
Like,
map
those
you run.
essences look fucking
On
broken,
your travels,
though.
you will sometimes encounter rogue exiles. Others like you who have been exiled and are openly hostile. Some are malicious,
guarantees a
some are
corrupt.
mad, while others are simply fiends for loot. They will challenge you, a fight to the death. They use the same skills available to players, and
So, in
even
a
the same
way-
items. They aren't just dressed up in those items, they're actually using them. It's going to feel like a true player versus player
Some of the
situation.
implicits suck, though.
Of course, if you are able to slay these exiles, those items will all drop on the ground. So if you encounter an exile using a powerful or valuable unique item, which you can see displayed under their life bar, you want to be damn sure you kill them. Because if they kill you and your party, they'll portal out, taking their items with them. Every fight will feel completely different.
That part is I'll not
depending
play
on the
because I'm
items they
addicted
come
to
equipped
2004
with.
escape. Oh,
These
the second
exiles
monitor
are
of that
much
shit,
smarter
no?
than your regular monster. They have capabilities to dodge roll, avoid your abilities with smart pathfinding, smart targeting, and much more action-packed gameplay. Fortunately, they're like you, and they're not super durable. Unless, of course, they're wearing uniques like Helm's Heart, in which case, expect a longer battle.
I just feel like the
There are
reality of the
12
situation is you're just
different
gonna
rogue
one
exiles you can
pop these
find,
guys.
each with their own skills and personalities. Some may insult you, while others may admire your honor in combat.
Another encounter you might stumble onto in Dawn of the Hunt are one of 4 new unique strongboxes.
Strongboxes are chests with modifiers. When you try to open them, they activate traps and spawn waves of monsters that you must defeat to access the loot. Let's take a look at 2 of the new unique boxes that are harder to find and behave just a little bit differently. The Ogham's Legacy Strongbox has a corpse splayed out in front of the rune-carved stone. Upon interacting with the stone, you activate Forbidden Ezomite magic, which revives the monster as a powerful rare. The Strongbox comes with a modifier which determines how many times it will revive that rare. Each time you defeat the monstrosity, the Strongbox revives it again, adding an extra modifier to the
I'm
monster.
pretty sure these new essences are
With
fucking
each
broken.
resurrection, it becomes more difficult, but also more rewarding. This Strongbox is infused with thaumaturgy from ancient Fahl technology. Eshel's Torment has a powerful artifact inside, and is guarded by chaos itself. Defeating the monsters will grant you a unique item, with a specific corrupted outcome. You'll
The
have to
warrior
find
actually
the
looks
other 2
pretty
for
good.
yourself to see what they do.
Now, let's talk about the introduction to the endgame. Upon starting the endgame, Doriani tasks you with cleansing corruption to help restore the land. However,
I'll be
in
crafting
practice,
spears, saying,
the
brother.
quest
Or
objective just
javelins.
sent you on a grind to clear 15 maps. We wanted to make the quest to unlock your Atlas passives much more interesting.
Now, Doriani is tasking you with a more specific objective. On the Atlas, you will find areas of corruption caused by the beast. In the
Here's
center of
Jab's
each
same
one,
thing,
you will
yeah.
find a corrupted nexus, the source of the affliction. In the areas leading up to the nexus, you will notice that corruption spills out from slain enemies and amalgamates into powerful monsters.
Okay.
Corrupted maps existed on the Atlas before, but we've done significant work on improving these monsters. We've also done a full pass on the modifiers on these maps to make them more interesting and more rewarding. Once you reach the Nexus, you'll have a new task: cleanse the source of corruption. When you defeat the last rare in those maps, they will spawn one of 3 terrifying bosses, amalgamations of corruption itself. After defeating that boss, Doriani will come and cleanse the corruption for good.
So is
As
there
the
like a,
remains of the boss are purged of corruption, it coalesces into raw crystallized power, which you can use to gain points for your Atlas passive skill
Oh,
tree.
okay.
The upgrade system that allows you to add and enhance content in your maps. We didn't stop there though. When you complete a corrupted
need-
nexus, all of the remaining surrounding corrupted maps will become cleansed maps. Cleansed maps also have new monsters,
Okay, so that's how you
a
get
new
Atlas
boss,
points now. Just corrupting.
and their own set of modifiers and rewards, including finding fracturing orbs by slaying cleansed
Oh
enemies.
my god, there's fracturing orbs.
These orbs can be used in crafting on a rare item to cause one of its modifiers to become
Oh
fractured.
my
A
god.
fractured modifier is one that cannot be modified by any means. You are able to freely modify the item, ensuring the fractured modifier will never change. If you get the right item with the right mod, it can prove to be a very powerful crafting base indeed. You must now choose. Do
No.
you complete all the corrupted maps?
It's not
and
that
then the
good.
Nexus?
It's not that good.
Or maybe you beeline
No,
to
no,
the
no.
Nexus, complete it,
Fracturing
and
orbs
do
aren't
all
that
the
good in this
remaining
game.
maps
Because there's no
clean.
scouring orb.
Both have rewards to entice you and challenges to assess.
Now, let's have a talk about towers.
But it makes
One
chaos
thing we've had a
spamming.
lot of feedback on is the busy work
Oh
around
my
running towers
God.
and managing your tablets. The first change we've made here is that we have reduced the number of towers drastically.
Oh my God,
So there are
dude.
now 1/3 as many as before, but we've made them much more powerful.
The fracturing orbs, that could be broken.
To start with,
I mean, it's
tablets
really good
now
for chaos
inherently
spam.
add twice as many mechanics. But that's not
The
all.
problem is there's no scouring
Running
orb.
higher tier
though.
maps and towers now increases the number of mechanics applied
If
by
there was scouring
tablets.
orb, then that fracturing orb should
By
be
tier
actually
15,
broken.
the bonus is double, allowing a single tablet to now add 4 times as many mechanics as before. So, we're running far fewer towers, dealing with fewer tablets, and affecting even more maps than before. But because there are fewer towers overlapping with each other, you won't get as many opportunities to stack different tablets. In order to solve this, we've made it so that each tower can
How would you
consume up to
cube
3
it, right?
tablets at once. You always get 1 slot on completing the tower, but if you can complete a tower with more mods on the waystone, you can unlock a 2nd or 3rd slot. Overall, this allows for even more juicing from towers, while
Oh,
drastically
shit.
reducing the amount of busy work you have to do.
Towers
On top
are
of that,
turbo buff.
towers are much more interesting maps because they can now spawn with all mechanics, including bosses.
Each tower map has a new boss. Let's take a look at a couple here.
The boss fight of the Alpine Ridge map has two powerful witches contesting for territory. One witch has an affinity for ice, the other fire. Who will win? Hopefully neither. The boss of the Sinking Spire map is a remnant of the Val that has been charged with lightning. It uses a full suite of lightning abilities. But be careful, if any of them hit the surrounding constructs, they will power up.
Another thing that we've seen a lot of feedback about is sustaining waystones. As we looked into it, we realized that the people who couldn't sustain waystones were dying a lot. A lot more than we had expected. And that made us realize something. During the campaign, the expectation is that you can die multiple times in order to learn how to overcome challenges. You are able to learn how the monsters
give you multiple portals?
adapt to their skills, and eventually overcome
Maybe
them.
like 2 portals, 3
But
portals.
as soon as you get to the end game, you're effectively no longer allowed to die if you want to sustain waystones. By the time you are getting towards the end of Endgame, we want you to have to be careful not to die. But it certainly shouldn't be that we have such a sudden shift as you run your first maps.
The first change we're making is you can now respawn and return to a map if you die. Continuing from where you left off. When you start the endgame, you get up to 6 total attempts per map. As you add more modifiers to a waystone, the number of respawns goes down.
Oh.
This means that as you get to the point that you're running every waystone as a rare, you will have to be more careful.
Okay. He basically said they didn't expect you to
everyone
be so
gets to
bad.
respawn that number of times. But we still think it's important that you can kill a boss in one go. In order to allow that to happen, we've made a change so that once you start the boss fight, it changes over to the same respawning system we use for pinnacle bosses. This means that the map owner can choose to respawn everyone at the same time. Another complaint we've seen a lot of is players not wanting to do the pinnacle content because of the experience penalty from dying. A change we've made here is that all pinnacle content now no longer grants experience, but also no longer removes experience on death either.
Okay.
Dawn of the Hunt also brings the first batch of Twilight Order reliquary keys from the early access supporter packs.
God damn it.
These keys contain items selected by our supporters. They can contain any unique item found in Path of Exile 2. If the selected item is a pinnacle boss drop, then only special keys dropped by this content will be able to provide these items. For example, Hand of Wisdom in action can only come from a key dropped by Zesht.
Oh shit.
Also making a change that allows pinnacle boss uniques to drop at any difficulty.
Oh
Rarer
shit.
uniques will be rarer at lower difficulties, but still possible to find. This applies to the drop chances for
Oh shit. So Hoa's super rare now.
suite of unique tablets. Each of these adds crazy interactions to the maps influenced by it. For example, this unique tablet allows you to run any map in a tower's radius without requiring connections, which can be quite useful for jumping gaps and traveling around your atlas. And this tablet causes all runic monsters spawned during expedition encounters to be duplicated.
Wait, so
and
Hoa's gonna be
weakens all
super rare
expedition
now.
monsters that emerge
Which
from
makes
the ground.
sense, it's so fucking broken.
The Atlas tree has also been expanded, and you can find many of the new mechanics there, and improvements to existing ones too. Recombination is a mechanic that might be familiar to some players.
Oh my
It
god.
allows you to merge two items together, hoping to get the best elements of each on a single new item. This new crafting bench will be unlocked as you complete your first expedition, and requires artifacts found during expeditions to fuel it. The rarer the mods on the item you are combining, the more expensive the cost.
That wraps up all the major in-game changes we're talking about today.
Oh
With all
fuck.
the system changes and new content, we can't wait to get in there, start blasting maps, and obliterating monsters.
Wait,
There is
recombination
one more
is gonna
thing
be
we wanted to
broken.
clarify before we move on, which is that all the content we've talked about today will be made available in the existing early access leagues, so you can play your existing characters. However, there will be new leagues made for those who wish to start in a fresh economy. It is recommended to start over and get the full new experience in the Dawn of the Hunt leagues.
For all our existing early access players, we're really looking forward to joining you playing in this new update. For those who don't already have access and are interested in playing Path of Exile 2, Dawn of the Hunt, you are able to at any time purchase an early access supporter pack at www.pathofexile2.com. Additionally, the Paladin and Penance supporter packs are now available to purchase in Path of Exile 2 and contain 6 microtransactions each and the full pack's face value in points. All the microtransactions contained within these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D.
Okay.
With release at the end of next week, our community team will be posting crucial information you'll need for the release. Keep an eye on the news. On release weekend, we expect to launch the new mystery box and many new microtransactions, including Path of Exile 2's first alternate skill effects. Thanks for joining us today and checking out our latest developments. We're looking forward to playing the Huntress, trying new builds, and exploring the new endgame next week. We'll begin the Q&A shortly, so please get your questions ready.
I mean, it's got to be Recombinator for sure. Like, that's like gonna have to be the meta, especially. So farming Expedition is gonna be so fucking valuable. That's my prediction.
Good morning, Exiles, and welcome to the Q&A portion of today after a very exciting reveal. With,
Damn, this shit's so
lots
quiet.
and lots in it, exceeding my expectations, particularly in crafting. But on that
Does
note,
update comes in the current league? What do you mean?
Jonathan and Mark to talk about all that we've seen today and more in the future of Path of Exile 2. And you had an update about the recombination.
Yes,
first,
that's right.
though.
That's right. Yeah, so we actually last night had a bit of a design session and realized that we weren't actually fully happy with the way that recombination worked. So we actually made quite a big change to it, which wasn't reflected in that video, obviously, which is basically that we sort of wanted to give a bit more control to the player over how recombination works. And we also kind of weren't really happy about the fact that recombinators is something that like kind of matters a lot for really, really ultra endgame players. But it wasn't something that was really mattering a lot for like the people who effectively got access to the feature.
I can't hear shit.
So we've actually changed it now so that the way it works is that you pick which mods you want on the on the.
Oh my god! I'm
item
gonna get my ear holes
from each
blasted
item,
in a second.
and then it gives you a percentage chance of success based on the number you picked. So if you pick just like one from one and one from the other, then the chance is much higher. But if you pick if you pick 6 mods, it'll become practically impossible. So effectively, like the more you're wanting to design the item, the less of a chance of actually having success. So it means that if you just want to get like a mod, if you want to get an item with like, okay, these 2 mods that I found off the ground, that's relatively easy. If you want to get an item which has all of them, then very hard. So we think that's a much better design because it means you can kind of use the recombinators actually become something that you can use even from the first point you get them, but there's still this kind of end game, like for perfect stuff, you might still be able to do it with more. It is kind of balanced though, so that like if you pick literally all 6, then it's going to be like incredibly low to the point of like don't even try that. But like 4 mods might be a good thing to sort of be striving for, that kind of thing, and then exalt the other 2, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of the new design of that. So hopefully that'll be in by the time 0-2 comes out. We've kind of got a plan for doing that. But yeah, I think it's a much better design than what we had before for recombinators.
If it's not there for 020, it'll be as
very
soon as
soon.
it can afterwards.
Very
But
soon,
yeah, spur of the moment, night before
Okay.
live stream design sessions.
Yeah.
But
Been a few of those.
increased player agency and visibility into the success result is just a win. And honestly, took way too long to get to the point of us actually going, this is just straight up better to have observability into that and the freedom of choice. So.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. Recombination definitely felt like something that was both really high end in terms of the crafting that it was intended
Yeah,
for.
I don't
but
think
also
Recombinator's
just
gonna be good
even
then.
understanding it. This seems much more intuitive because
Yes, you just pick what you
selecting
want.
the mods you want.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So it does sound like it's a little bit of a nerf for the very high end of crafting, though. Like,
It might end up being, but I'm not like it sort of depends on how the numbers come out. Because we only just designed this, we need to still work out like exactly how the numbers end up looking. But I mean, look, we have to make sure. Obviously, whenever we're designing any crafting system, we have to be really sure that we're not like screwing over finding stuff on the ground. So you know, you have to sort of have that balance, and that's, you know, so that kind of informs everything we do with crafting usually.
One difference here, though, of course, is if the success chance fails,
items
both
just deleted,
items
yeah.
are destroyed as opposed to always keeping one.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So it's basically
Whether or not
percent
that's
chance for success, and if it fails, item's gone. So
Roughly, what
Oh.
do you think you try to pitch just choosing 2 mods at? Like,
it depends on what mods you're selecting, but I'm kind of thinking kind of like 35% ish kind of thing for like 2 normal mods, that kind of thing.
them both
Like
to
for them
go
both,
over?
yeah, for them both. For if you pick 2,
Yeah.
and then you know, but we'll
it
see.
kind of depends. Again,
It kind of depends. We'll see how we have to do
higher
some
tier
mathing.
mods are rare, and
Yeah, exactly. So it sort of
it
depends on the
also
situation.
the other thing is it's going to now have a fixed cost, so it's not gonna
Yeah.
you know.
And the
I don't
idea
think
is
it's
like,
gonna be good.
yeah, and the idea is like doing a single expedition should be enough to do a recombination. So you know, you're going to be doing them like relatively often as you're doing expeditions.
So is the part of Expedition where you get to craft with the NPCs still a thing then? Now that you're adding this?
Yeah, I mean, you've still got that whole mechanic, and like, so it's effectively it's competing for the artifacts.
Yeah.
Between recombination versus buying things from that other way.
So is there some buffs intended for that then to make it more competitive?
Not
with-
yet. It definitely needs some love in the future, but not at this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like the systems can kind of go hand in hand, where one is
Yeah.
giving you items that you can then potentially recombine.
It is also true. You can use the ingredients of one in the other, or the
Yeah.
outcome of one as an ingredient in another.
Cool. We'll talk more about crafting a little bit later on for sure.
You
'cause
said
there was a lot going on
35%
today,
chance for
which I'm
2
quite excited
mods. It's
about.
just not going to be
Definitely
meta.
exceeded my predictions for what you'd be adding in terms
Right,
of crafting. But firstly, though, just a quick clarification on the league. So there's not going to be a wipe for the new players joining. us.
2004
So if
scheme.
you
Like,
were playing on a character, you can still keep playing on a character. But a lot of long-term Path of Exile players know the importance of playing on a fresh start, and that's also
Right,
really important for you guys as well.
For
right?
sure, yeah. I mean, basically, if we don't have like any character that's come from before, you're just not gonna like, because the balance is so different and because so many things have changed. There's like no point in even listening to feedback for someone who's playing in the old league. Like, it really has to be that you're doing the fresh start, and we're sort of seeing how things go in the new economy. So like, we were really sort of, it was kind of an interesting decision about whether or not we should make it so that all the content is exclusive.
Age drops,
or rather,
yeah.
like, what amount of content would be exclusive to the league versus not. And the issue that we had is that so I mean, like, a league means something in Path of Exile. You know, like, in order for something to rise to the level of a league, it needs like a certain amount of features. And the original thing we were thinking about doing that way would be the Azmeri and wisps. But it wasn't.
I'm thinking
quite
about
like
the
kind of like meta mechanics and, you know, stuff with that. So like,
Yeah.
we didn't
thinking
quite
about the
rise to level of feeling
Recombinator,
like
and it
deserved
just
to be
doesn't
a
feel like it's
challenge
going to be
league.
useful at all.
And at the same time, we've also got a lot of new players playing Path of Exile 2 who never played Path of Exile before. So we're a little bit.
They're introducing this thing called the
like, we kind of were
Recombinator,
deciding, like,
or
should we,
Recombinator, where you can
yeah,
combine
should
2
we make it
items
exclusive or
together.
not? We sort of
and
decided, you know what, for this one, we're not going to.
Like,
And then what
combine
we'll probably try and do
the
is for the
affixes
next
they have,
for the next.
but the percentages look so low.
League that we do.
It doesn't
we'll
seem like
actually
it'll be
make it a proper
meta.
challenge league with like
Which is
its own
good.
exclusive
That's just
mechanics
so
and so on.
broken.
But yeah, it's a
Doing
little bit
one.
funny because like in early access,
It's a
there's no
gamble,
different
it's a complete
situation,
gamble.
different, you know, like, and so. Yeah, we'll sort of see how this goes anyway. But certainly, I would encourage everyone just like start again on a new character. And I think, you know, you'll have a
But I
much
guess
better
it'll
time
help
because,
you
know, obviously if
recycle
there's
your
structural
failed craft.
changes to the passive tree. It's like if you log in with your old character, you're going to have like, you know, your tree's going to get reset. You have to do stuff. You know, like there's things like that are going to happen that mean that and you know, also just balance changes, right? Like huge numbers of them. So you're going to have a better time playing from the start.
That's it. And
Yeah.
speaking of the Huntress, then, so we saw our initial Huntress quite some time ago now and had some hands-on time with it and things, but I certainly, having played
it's
that before
good.
and
It's gonna be
played
broken.
it now recently, the Huntress has changed
But
quite a
maybe
lot.
it's just
Yeah,
used
yeah.
to like
So
recycle your
what was
rares.
the how hard was it to get it ready for release? What was kind of the key there?
I mean, it's funny because class design is one of those things where every time you add something, it can make you reevaluate everything else.
Thank
which is
God,
why
I
it's so
thought it'd
hard
be
to
skills
predict,
for
like how long a class will take. So like it changed a lot since the last time we had like we were showing Huntress. And honestly, like, you know, it's like, while there are some skills that you will still see, like, it just plays completely different. And I mean, whenever we're looking at like how we're going to design something like this, it really comes down to
Huntress
like,
is gonna
what
for
is
sure
the,
be
the
meta.
special about the character class. Like, how can we double down on that to make sure it feels different? So with the Huntress, you've obviously got spears as a base type. The key difference between a spear and any other weapon type is that you can both use them at melee and you can also use them at range. You know, you can throw them. And so because of that, you know, we really were just really trying to
incentivize everything possible so that you use both of those things. And action RPG players, they generally speaking, the balance can often be such that you only really want to do one thing and do that one thing well. So trying to incentivize the kind of ranged and melee.
I want to hear about the fucking crafting materials of the hunters.
And I mean, the way we do it effectively is try to make sure that like there are combo chains.
But right now, some are saying patch updates today. No, it's not today. They're
melee thing can combo with
introducing
ranged,
what the patch update will be
to move
today.
between the two states.
But the patch will go
that kind of
live.
means that you end up with a very like agile
next
character, like
Thursday.
you're constantly moving like backwards and forwards and
I
kind of
need
moving
this
around.
info to
I would
milk
say
the
that
new
like
players.
given that it's the Dex character, that it's good that it feels that way. That it's good that it feels the most agile of all of the melee character classes. That's been a really good one. But I mean, look, there are. In terms of changes, I mean, look, there are just changes all the time. Like the frenzy charge thing was like relatively late in development. Like there's like quite a lot of things going on that just meant that the field kept on evolving. And another big one, of course, was parry, which I honestly was very skeptical of working. And Mark, like Mark was the one who saved it. Honestly, like I was like, you know what? There was like 3 times I think where I was like, you know what? I don't think it's gonna work. And then you were like, okay,
the Discord level,
we're gonna save
Twitch.
this.
I was like, give me a week.
Yeah, exactly. And it works completely differently for most games, because in most games, obviously, with parrying, the way that works is that you have to time like to push the block button at exactly the right time, but that's just something that just wouldn't work in our combat system, because you're often packs of monsters. It's just like you don't really have the ability to read combat in that way in our game, and at the same time we need to make something where there's going to be like man. If a single monster in a pack hits you, you need to be able to respond to that with something that's going to you need to be able to respond in a way where you don't just then immediately get hit by a bunch of other stuff.
Yes.
So having it so that the parry, like it always parries, but it's then taking advantage of what the parry does to the monster by following up with something that's going to give you like an explosion or something like that to kind of deal with the pack.
They had like 150k when they're doing the trailer.
Allows, that counter gameplay to work in our game. So you've kind of got 2 primary parry follow-ups. You've got the frenzy charge one, which dashes back. Which means that you don't have to worry about the monsters hitting you, and then you've also got the one that there's another
the guy
one
with the gray hair scares me. He may be 60, maybe 30.
Frost, which does a counter where you
there is a new league. There is a
which
new
freezes
league
the
for
pack.
sure.
So it's
this is just the
in both cases you've kind of got
the patch
update.
kind of like they're telling us what they're going to change for the new league,
and that was kind of
it's going to launch next Thursday or Friday.
That mechanic.
I'll also make note.
Can't wait. Only 8 days on swimming in mirrors and new players' tears.
To follow up parry to generate a frenzy charge too, so it doesn't even have to be the backflip.
Yeah. In that case, there's other
create your own parry.
Yep, and then of course there's always Sniper's Mark. And there's like there's a skill that does give you a guaranteed crit, so that's a potential option as well. Like you've got a few different ways to generate them.
Because parry guarantees a light stun.
Yeah.
You always get that small window to actually engage or do a thing before before you're under danger again.
And I'll tell you this, like, I am one of those players who never parry, right? In any game ever, because I can never do it. It's always just so frustrating. So I was very skeptical of that, but it feels really good. You've both managed to make it something that's easy to do, because you can just hold the button down and parry at any time. There's no skill involved in that. But at the same time, you've incentivized making it so that you do want to still try and time it as best you can.
Wait, they're talking about is parry a new mechanic for everyone, or is it just for the hunters?
You actually still want to kind of play it skillfully.
Well, I mean, ultimately, anytime you're holding down the parry button is when you're not attacking, right? So you still want to kind of minimize the window, but at the same time, like the timing is just not like not as bad. But the nice thing as well is that like once you do successfully parry, it's very obvious. You get the sound, you get the token on the monster. It's very chunky.
Yeah.
So it means it's very obvious when you're supposed to counterattack. So yeah, I'm very happy with that. I think that it came out really well. And honestly, one of the funny things about it is that it immediately made me realize like how bad shields are in comparison, which is why we're also trying to ninja in a change to how shields work at the last minute, which we'll see if it makes it into 020. I was playing around with it last night.
This was 8 p.m. last night.
Yeah, 8 p.m. last night, exactly. I was
messing with this.
Yeah, messing around with it. And I won't talk too much about how that's going to work, but effectively we want to make shields, the shields better as well, and kind of build something into those to make them
the shields kind of suck right
more
now.
interesting. So that's the plan there. We'll see if it makes it for 020.
Yeah, following that kind of similar design space idea of being able to do a bit more with it.
Yeah,
and then
100%.
that feed into other skills and things like that as well.
100%.
There's a lot of room there to play with.
Yeah.
So we talked about Huntress being very, very combo heavy, and she has the deepest combo chains out of anyone so far, even exceeding like things you can do with Monk. You got 3-4 different skills deep of things you can start to synergize together. So how do you balance? How do you make that fun? Firstly, like rather than like onerous, for example.
Well, I mean, I guess there's a few things. Like one of them is it just has to be very readable and understandable when, like, like what you can do and when you can do it. And I think the other thing that's really to our advantage here is reusing skills in multiple ways, so you can make a deeper combo chain without requiring you to be using as many skills in order to do it. So the way that Whirling Slash and Tornadoes interact with ground effects and kind of like all that stuff sort of means that, you're using Whirling Slash multiple times as part of the same combo chain. And that's an idea, I think, that I'd like to try and explore more, because I think that it is a cool way to kind of extend the combo chain, as I said, without sort of getting too many things involved, and that makes it a lot cooler. So yeah, I'll think a bit more about, how we can apply that to other classes and other skills, but it's worked out really well here.
Yeah, it's a bit of like a loose create your own combo system in a way. Like obviously there's intended combos, but because it's interacting with something that's fundamental like ground effects, you're able to combo with anything that creates a ground effect. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. Like I added shocked ground to the backflip skill, or I got a companion pet that had a shocked ground aura.
Nice.
As like that was just there and that was available all the time.
I mean, it's funny as well because it also works on just enemy ground effects, and so sometimes you can just get a damage boost because the rare just happened to be dropping ground fire or something. So that's kind of fun.
Is there like I wish there was like a written thing.
But it's been
I don't really care
it's just a lot
about
of fun to play. The first time I ran
mechanics.
into that was actually in the graveyard, where there's these like chests that like pop open with fire, and like I was using tornadoes, and then one of them just randomly turned into a fire tornado, and I'm like, oh, what happened there? Oh, yeah, sweet. It was just like a really cool moment where it just sort of interacted with the environment, which was really fun.
It always feels like you're getting a little bit of something extra for free when you're taking advantage of the enemy effects, or a boss fight that just has burning ground everywhere. It's like sweet. So how do you go about balancing though when you have a class that has deeper combos and kind of somewhat requires you to do a bit more?
Damn it!
Versus a class or
We're talking about like game design right now.
Is just bonk.
I mean,
is this how they normally are? I thought they'd be talking about the fucking
I think actually that's one of those things that we're trying to really focus on with the balance changes we're doing in Dawn of the Hunt more generally, is making sure.
Like I don't care about their game design philosophy. I want to hear about what the fucking changes are.
It degenerates a little bit by Endgame in a way that like I want to make sure it still feels rewarded. And so we were sort of doing various checks, recently about like as a random example, right? Like so on the Mercenary, we found that doing but when you get to endgame, doing armor break, what's it called? The armor piercing that causes armor break, followed with high velocity rounds, is just worse than just using high velocity rounds. And that's like really bad, right? Like we have to make sure that we're improving that stuff. So it's like sometimes you just get these things
to
where
like
the
1 to 2 days
balance
before
kind of
launch.
Generates in a way that that doesn't.
Wait. Does that mean they won't? But like they showed us. Oh, so this is just like a reveal. So like this just gives us like info on what's gonna happen, but they won't give us the details until like 2 days before launch. Is that correct?
The balance changes.
So do you have like a baseline there of where like the really simplest build should be, the build that just bonks? Like,
I mean, you mean in terms of damage or in terms of like what it does? I mean, we always want
I
you
guess
be able to build that way.
The
But
players have to do a combo.
I mean,
like, for
no,
people who don't want
ultimately
to.
you never have to, right? But it sort of what it means is that you are sacrificing something. And look, the ideal situation is that like you don't feel like you have to do combos. You feel like you want to do combos, right? Like, because you feel rewarded for them. It's like should feel like a fun, like, oh, I can add this. Like it's the feeling you should be getting.
Yeah. I think the Huntress is doing that very well. It must have been like extremely hard because I don't think I've ever seen this like ranged melee combo done well before.
Right. Well, I mean, it does require a lot of discipline, and it means that a lot of skills like end
So
up
will
on the
they
cutting room
talk
floor
about
because you
like
try them out and then you realize
more
well,
specific
this is in
stuff,
the game, then
or
that's the
no?
only thing I'm ever going to do. So you got to be really careful about that stuff. For
Certainly playing the Huntress now makes me go back and look at the other classes and be like, we need to up that the level there, and we missed the mark a little bit now because this is better. And who's to say the next class won't even be better and make us question even this? But
but that's the way it is with class design.
That's what he says when we like literally when you make a new class, you question everything. He's not understating the level of questioning everything.
Yeah, do you see like going back to the monk at some point and looking for more like opportunities to link skills together with?
I mean, we haven't got to the full skill set for any class yet already, and we need to add more pieces for a lot.
I think there's at least 4 skills that were designed and then aren't in the in the monk currently.
Ranger the same. There was extra poison skills. It was intended to be more chaos dots. There's all kinds of stuff.
Right now,
we
like
have
I'm looking at my notes
at some point fill all of that in.
So it looks like
when, but we're going to try and incrementally get it
highlight.
Much like how Ray Spectre and I mean the mount
But
works with the Huntress, but we were like, let's
this
give
is
something
important.
for the Ranger this time. Let's give something for
important.
the summoners out there this time, and
Oh, this
so
is
we're just going to
important.
keep filling in those gaps over time.
This
And
is
it feels
really
like
important.
you're getting better at class and
Important.
skill design as you go too. So I imagine
Important.
the last class you're going to release is going to be like amazing. You'll look back at the first ones and be like, ooh.
Important.
Possibly.
Well, that is the worry,
this is
but
good.
whatever. That
But
just
look, that just means we've got another round of going through everything.
Yeah, so they're adding fracturing orbs, which is incredibly broken. Probably like the most broken thing about crafting in PoE1. Maybe okay, it's like top 3, I would say. It essentially allows you to fracture one modifier on an item, and it makes it so that that modifier is unremovable. So theoretically, you can fracture like +3 skills or like +5 lightning skills on a wand, and then just chaos spam that shit until you have a bunch of good mods. What will happen if you use a Calandra's touch ring on Hunter? You will have 4 rings. Oh, that's a good question. Because which one would it mirror? I would assume that you would have to use like 2 Calandra's touches, or there's some mechanic where like it's like the first ring that you equip, so then you like equip the ring, Calandra's touch, and then you can go equip your 3rd ring. Yeah, that would be my guess though. I'm not sure.
Ailment threshold. That's right, ailment threshold. Yeah. So we lowered ailment threshold to actually make it so the player has those mechanics happen more to them, right? Because like right now through campaign, like you.
Well, she definitely won't have 4 rings. She has 3 ring slots. What if it's oversight and Calandra's touch becomes absurdly OP on Huntress? I think it is already going to be absurdly OP on Huntress because you get 1 mirror tier ring on the Huntress, and then like at worst case you buy 2 Calandra's touches, and then you have 3 mirror tier rings for like incredibly cheap. What's your opinion on standard being merged with the new league? I think it's fine. I don't think anyone's actually going to be playing standard, but it makes sense. Like if you do want to play standard and you're a noob, that way you don't have to like create a new account, start over. If you're not interested in playing in the new league, that does make sense to me. I think it's fine, but it doesn't affect anything really.
Yes.
So expect a little bit more, a little bit more danger from the stun. I definitely died a couple times to getting heavy stun.
Yeah. It can happen.
So the way it works, from what I understand, is that standard will have all the updates that the new league will have, but there will also be a new league. That's my understanding of it. So it's like all these updates going to the new league will go to standard as well, but there will also be a separate new league for like an economy reset. Yeah, so that way like people who like don't want to like start a new account, maybe if like you're a casual player, you're a noob, whatever, you just started, you can still continue playing on your old account with all these new updates, but yeah. You still have the option for the
we turn
economy
off your
reset.
evasion from taking damage because
have to.
the block does, right? And otherwise you'd be like, I'm going to parry it. Oh, I evaded
Yeah,
it,
exactly,
didn't parry.
exactly.
But you can evade the stagger build up, so you don't take the damage anyway. Just
So the
before
evasion
anyone
still
misunderstands
works.
that.
The evasion still works.
Yeah. Okay,
So
I didn't
high
know that.
evasion will mean you can parry for longer. There's a bunch of parry stuff on the tree, including damage affecting the debuff, the duration of the debuff, so you get to benefit for it longer.
Is there a VOD?
Reducing stagger is all over the place for both mount and so in
Oh,
the
there
deep
is.
section of the tree.
All right, I want to go to the VOD. I'm kind of not interested in a lot of the stuff that they're talking about here. It's way too loud. Sorry. Just be. Oh my god, that's loud. No dupe glitch for divs plus mirror this league, so the economy might be more scarce. There were way too many divs and mirrors early this league. I mean, like there's no dupe glitches yet, you know. Like we're gonna have to wait and see what China cooks up in terms of like the dupe glitches. Oh my god, that's way too loud.
Here we turn of a standard round of thinking about ways to make it fun to both your enemy. You can also allow you to do a new skill, parry, while tornadoes that do way more damage. In her offhand, the Huntress will usually want to hold a buckler.
Okay, buckler. Huntress. Okay.
Which allows you to do a new skill, parry. While holding down parry, your character will counterattack.
All right, here's the problem though. Is that Fub Gun is for sure creating a Huntress build. So like I'm not even gonna lie.
attack any incoming attack from monsters near you, stunning them.
How am I gonna find my build?
In addition, the monsters will take extra attack damage from your follow-up strike. Some specific skills are designed if you're gonna get spoiling, or you also
Okay, so this is just the skills and like abilities. That's cool. I've already seen this. I'm not playing Hunter, so it doesn't matter.
Taking sacrifice. Further, fighting technique spots good on impact.
Like I might build an account. Like I might just go for like a bunch of money and then I'll build a Huntress later and then gear up when I'm like turbo rich and then I'll play like a super juiced up Huntress build.
First skills quite lit maximum forging at the bottom downside. The further only server pay can also command.
I'm planning on doing that. Yeah, I think starting Huntress is a complete end for this new league. Huntress, get money first, then build Huntress.
We're introducing the Lich Ascension class. The Soul.
This Lich thing is kind of cool because this Lich has access to a skill that's essentially Herald of Chaos.
Master of Chaos and Curses, and could sacrifice her life to enhance her energy shield. The Crystalline Phylactery skill allows you to nominate a jewel in which to contain part of your soul, massively increasing its power. There's just one downside.
Okay. So then another thing to consider is new Lich ability jewel 4 turbo crafted jewels are OP if this ascendancy is good, or meta I should say.
Side to splitting your soul this way though. If you have no energy shield, your mana costs will shoot up. The Necromantic Conduit skill causes you and allies in your presence to have unholy might, granting extra damage as chaos damage.
Notes channel in
Rupture
Discord
the
that people
Soul
can
makes
add
enemies
to.
you curse
Like,
explode
what if people
with
just
chaos
add
damage
bad
when
shit to the
slain.
channel?
Dominion over Flesh allows you to apply an additional curse.
Then
It's
just
safe
delete
to
it.
say you'll be the true master of the occult by choosing the Lich class.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
So Dawn of the Hunt has the Huntress and 5 new Ascension classes.
I'll post
But it
my
doesn't
notes
end
there.
Let's take a look at some of the new skills we've added.
Okay, take
Some
care about the skills.
L2, running undead minion. Much damage to enhance your character. Alleviate the crystals. Filled with unsteady tempo. But embrace your new angle resource for you to discover any.
I mean, truthfully, like this unique, like, when is this ever gonna be good? Like, I would just prefer to have a rare belt with life and like, because like, how good are flasks? Truthfully, especially like, because like this is an early mid game belt, right? Like, if you're in the early mid game, how important are your flasks? Is it better than having like 60 res and like 40 more life? Probably not, right? So it just feels like a lot of these uniques, like,
Archmage builds. With this belt, you can use 2 lifelines.
wait, I'm logging in on my lunch break. I see standards getting merged. How does that work? Oh, it just means they're gonna update. I think they're just gonna update the mechanics to standard, like all these mechanics to this, and then they're also gonna have a new like league with like a fresh economy.
Or 2 mana flasks. It's up to you. Now we could go through these all day, but woman, Spear, which combines parry mechanics, fire.
We see the spear. This is a good leveling spear, but that's it. I've got no clue how OP, like, because like parry could be like block, right? Like, is there block? New league for PoE2? Yes, they actually had so much. It's gonna be a huge update.
And each major update in some.
Okay, so this is what I want to see: the currencies. Greater Desert Rune. Hold on. Wait, actually, can we just see this Desert Rune PoE2? Twelve res, right? So
Runes add commonly available mods, but since they only have 1 tier, flat damage mods tend to get outclassed.
okay, so Desert Rune. Oh, okay. So it's like the way the new runes work. So the way the new runes work is lesser equals like 80% of normal. Normal equals normal, and then greater equals 120% of normal. Okay.
In-game. So we've changed runes to have multiple tiers, allowing you to get those comes from what we're talking about next. Airy Spirit has where you'll meet any monster. Those are wisps if you're able the windows to instance. Only be used.
Okay, so let's look at these talismans. Boots hits against you received. Place an item empty rune slot. Oh, okay. So talismans replace runes, right? So many people are asking for fixing PS5 servers. Wait, really? Are they that bad?
Used on a specific item slot.
Talismans replace runes. What about charms? I don't think there's anything about charms yet. But like, if you see you're placed into an empty rune slot in a martial weapon or armor, so these are like alternatives to runes in sockets. That's interesting.
New set of socketable items that allow you to craft a wide range of interesting new mods onto your items.
But like,
Each one may
I can't ever see these being good though. Maybe Rage on Hit is good, but like, when are you ever gonna put in Corrupted Blood in your body armor over having like an extra 100 ES? Or having an extra like 5% all res? Like, you're never gonna pick this, right? And like 10% reduced critical damage bonus, like Rage on Hit, but this can only be socketed into gloves. This can only be socketed into gloves. Those talisman have enchant perks? What do you mean? Crafters had like 5 PNGs worth of content this stream, poggers. Yes and no. Like, there's a lot that you can like kind of like think about though. Like, for example, this shit sucks. That's my prediction. My prediction is that this shit sucks. Based off of what we can see. This shit's gonna suck.
only be used on a
But
specific
like, the next thing is gonna be sick.
in order to
Today, we're ready to make interesting changes that megalith a summon enough. If you maintain us in this your water, you get full boss reward. Should mirrors are mirrored, dented with a broke that can be.
Okay, this shit is gonna be broken. So these new rings, right? So theoretically, okay, my prediction is this: they said that Hoa is gonna drop from reliquary keys. I'm not sure if it means that it only can drop from reliquary keys, but if it can, that's kind of what we predicted. Was that most likely Hoa wasn't gonna get a direct nerf, but instead it's gonna get a nerf to its drop rate, and I think that's a perfect way to fix it because now Hoa is a chase item, so it's gonna be worth like 100 plus div, right? And if that's the case, these rings now will allow you to craft quad attributes. Quad attribute rings. Oh, wait a second. Is it quad? Yeah, I think it is quad, right? Because Zesh reliquary key drops Hoa, but not a normal. Okay, but can Zesh still drop Hoa though? That's my question. They didn't say. Okay. Oh no, it's a suffix. It's a suffix. Never mind. Wait, but okay. Here's another question that I have. Is it? I'm assuming that it's like you can get +1 prefix, +1 suffix, and then like it's just like you have the chance for both. I'm assuming it's not just prefix though, right? Because in PoE 1, don't they have the same thing? But it's like you can do prefix +1 and then suffix -1, or you can do prefix -1, suffix +1. I'm not sure. But if it is prefix, like what do you get? If it's just prefix, then it sucks. If it's just prefix, then these rings suck. Does it matter? All content is going to standard, so 80% of player base will stay there where there's a lot of Hoas already. It does matter because 80% of the player base will not stay on standard. 100% they won't. Like just if you just look at this chat, I would say 100% of the players in this chat are going to the new league. The only people who are playing standard on the launch of this league will be people who are like hyper casual players or new players who like who have just started playing, who like just started getting to maps. Otherwise, it's highly incentivized, highly incentivized to play the new league. I would imagine like 90% plus of the player base is going to the new league. Okay, so that's a really good question though. So for these rings, new +1 -1 rings, can it be +1 stuff? What's the incentive to play the new league? It's a fresh economy. No one wants to play on this, like, no one wants to play on this old ass economy anymore, man. Like, do you see like I streamed for like 6 hours crafting or flipping chess pieces, and I had the most insane nutty, like, I had a 950 ES chess piece that wouldn't sell for 1 div. Iconic? Oh, that sucks, dude. But I mean, you can still play it. Like, just maybe like you don't have to go super hard. So like people don't really want to play standard anymore. Like the way these kind of like Path of Exile, like these ARPGs work that have resets, it's like the longer the league goes, the less people want to play because it's like shit is worth so little, right? Shit is worth so little right now. So people like really like playing these fresh like economies. Like no one right now, like I mean look at it, like only 20,000 people are playing PoE right now. And part of that is because, like, you know, whatever, like, there's no new mechanics, but a lot of people want, whatchamacallit? A lot of people want fresh economy. Does +1 suffix mean you can get all 6 spells on enemy? I don't think so. Because I'm pretty sure they're mutually exclusive. Like, if you hit one, you can't hit the other.
Crafted to
Okay, so
have additional prefixes object that contains an item. Quite difficult. If you manage to overcome that challenge and make it to the end of the map, you'll be presented with a broken mirror, a powerful altar-like object that contains an item within it. The item contained within is a new base type, either an amulet or a ring, that can be crafted to have additional prefixes or suffixes at the cost of the other. The last unique map we'll show today is one based around the essence mechanic.
Wait.
That can be crafted to have additional prefixes or suffixes.
Yes. It's additional prefix or suffix. It's additional prefix or suffix. So you will be able to hit quad attribute rings. Okay. I actually just thought of something so broken. I actually thought of something so fucking broken. Like, do you not? Like, is the play, like, don't we just fracture tier 1, like, all attributes onto a ring? Onto one of these bonus suffix rings? And then you chaos spam quad attributes on there? Like, GG. Is that not just fucking GG? Index strength perma all attributes, yeah. But like that, like especially early in the league, where like chaos orbs are like 1 to 4 with exalts. But like, wait, here's the thing: is that it's like a 1 in 4. It's no, that wouldn't work. Honestly, that wouldn't work. But this, I mean. That's probably the only way to like reliably. No. Here's the thing: is that even better? Is that even better? Then like, cause like, wouldn't it still be better to have a breach ring? Yeah, breach ring is still better. Cause try attribute, right? Try attribute plus 50%. That's essentially 4.5. Yeah, it's not better. Breach rings are still better than this. So then, like, what's the benefit of this then? Wait, no, it's not better. It's not better. Okay, the reason why here's why it's not better. Okay, breach ring is 3 times 1.5, which equals 4.5, but then quad would just be 4 times 1.2, which equals to 4.8. Right, so you actually you do get more No, you do get more stats, but like one of the stats that you get is strength, which is not nearly as valuable as like having int all attributes, whatever. But there's a case for it. There's a case for it.
Cost of the other. The last unique map will show.
Also, like, I mean, what else can you get? I mean, there's not much else you really want, right? Like, is there a situation where you want like cast speed, rarity, mana regen, all res? I mean, not really, dude. Like these rings, I don't think like. Here's why I actually don't think this is good. I don't think it's good because breach rings exist. So it's like having 4 attributes doesn't matter. Like there's never a situation where you want, like besides attribute rings, there's never a situation where you want 4 affixes or 4 prefixes, right? Because like in almost every single case, it's like having 3 and 3 with a 50% bonus is way better than having 4 and 2 with the 30%. All res, but like, what do you mean all res? Like, I don't think. Because here's the thing, all res is good. Don't get me wrong, but like, it's not better than like having more attributes and then also having a prefix that's like slightly worse than all res, right? Like, if you can hit try attributes and then like rarity, lightning damage, or like lightning, cold, fire to attacks, right? Like percentage lightning damage, rarity, cold damage to attacks, fire damage to attacks. Those are all like better than elemental res, given that you can get a 50% bonus to these and to these. Would it be better with the +2? That's a good question. That's a really good question. Maybe like that's like the one situation where it's better is the amulets, because it's definitely not on the rings. Because breach rings are too broken. Breach rings are way too broken. So here, like, what do you care about? Maximum ES, increased ES, rarity, spirit, spell damage. Okay, like one thing that comes to mind is like for amulets, right? You can get like plus all skills, and then you can get like 5 here, right? Which is like increase, like you can get like +3 all projectile skills. And then you can get spell damage, rarity, max ES, and then max mana. But like, I don't know. That's kind of like fringe case. I can't really see like a. I mean that it would be better for like mirror tier crafting actually. Like for mirror tier crafting, this could be better because you could theoretically craft a mirror tier amulet that's just fucking broken because you only get 1 suffix, right? So you craft like plus all skills. And then, but you want like cast speed is really good too. Like here's the thing that I don't like. Here's why I don't think it's good. It's because like for a mirror tier amulet, you want spirit, like 45 spirit, 45 to 50 spirit, and then you want a spirit base for 60 spirit, and then like plus all skills, cast speed, crit damage, crit chance, rarity, mana regen. These are all good. All attributes, all res, and then like these are good too. Yeah, I mean like you get, but like it just doesn't make sense in my mind. Isn't it 5 out of 1, not 4 out of 1? Yeah, exactly. It's 5 out of 1. So you only can get 1. So that's what I was saying. Is like you like if you get all skills, and then you go for like 5 prefixes. It's like, well, like is that even good? Like it depends on what you're playing, but like the only thing that having 5 prefixes is good for is like spell damage, rarity, and ES plus mana, right? So this is like you'd have to be playing like a caster build. If you're playing a caster build, like don't you want cast speed? Don't you want crit chance? Don't you want mana regen? So it's like it's not even that good. And it's like if it's only for mirror tier crafting, then it's like, well, in mirror tier crafting, isn't the implicit like spirit really good? Because like, don't you really want like a spirit build? I don't know. We'll have to see. But I don't know. Like I think I know in Path of Exile 1, there are some mirror tier craft like jewelry crafts that do +1/-1, but I can't imagine that it's actually worth it.
Shot
Did they mention
today is
heralds?
one
No.
based around the essence and essences. While brave value could increase the greater essence.
Each corrupted essence has its own interesting combat mechanics. For example, the essence of insanity causes you to question even your own mind, as monsters split crafting outcomes, clones, and you must locate the real one before a devastating icy explosion freezes everything around it. Each of these has their own crafting outcomes. The essence of insanity.
This is broken, I think. I think this one's actually going to be broken. The problem is that you won't be able to get mirror tier crafts. I mean, like, the thing is that, like, this one actually might devalue mirror tier crafts, because the best items in the game are going to be corrupted items, right? Like, you can easily, like, this okay, I mean, this is the most broken one for sure. This is the most broken one by far. Yeah. It's too broken. This one makes it so that you can guarantee have 7 affixes, right? On any item. It's too broken. So this is actually going to devalue mirror services by a lot. It will, depending on whether or not the corrupted modifiers are good. Wait, does anyone know, is there a place where you can view corruption modifiers?
It can be applied to a belt. It adds a mod that will ensure the next Varlorb used on the belt will guarantee adding 2 enchantment.
Oh wait, is it just on
the
belt?
real one before a devastating icy mod that will ensure the everything around it.
It's not just belts, right?
Each of the
No, it's any item. Oh, it can only be used on belts. Oh, okay. This shit sucks. This shit sucks. I take it back. This shit sucks. This shit sucks. This shit sucks. I take it back. What the fuck? Why would they make it only usable on belts? Oh, this shit sucks. Because, like, unless they giga nerf ingenuity, this shit sucks, right? Lost 1 suffix, it doesn't matter, because, like, you theoretically get 2. You can't use this on ingenuity, though. You can only use it on magic or rare items. You can't double implicit uniques. So it's just not good. Yeah.
these has their own crafting outcomes. The essence of insanity can be applied to a belt. It's worth noting that will ensure the next Varlorb used on the belt will guarantee adding 2 enchantments.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it depends on the price of these, but like you could theoretically use this essence. Theoretically use this essence day 1 through 4 of League to craft craft 1 to 5 div belts. Reliant on price of essence being probably less than 1/10 of belt. Oh, sorry, 1/10 of div. 10 tries. Yeah, I mean, it's gotta be cheap. It's gotta be really cheap. Maybe not. Maybe not 1/10. Maybe like 1/3. 1/3 of div. Because you're gonna only really be using it on a good base, which has like double tier 1 to tier 2. And then you need to slam 3 more on top of it. I mean, this will be good. This will actually be good. This will actually be good. This has the potential to be good. I mean, it's highly dependent on ingenuity nerfs. Because if ingenuity gets nerfed hard, then this shit is going to be very good. Like if ingenuity ends up being about as rare as Astromentus, like if they make it a chase item, which I think it should be, then this shit's going to be very, very good. Like this shit's going to be like the most insane moneymaker, I think. Yeah. Okay.
It's worth noting all the essences in the unique map can also be corrupted too. It's like you challenge you use you into the new combat. When you try and back with the stone at side itself, cleansing option. The significance the option it lies up there or fracture. If you get the right fractured.
Okay, fracturing orbs. Is this gonna be good? I can't really think. I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna be a game changer. Because it's broken in Path of Exile 1 because you have the ability to rewrite your items. Like there's this thing called an Orb of Scouring in Path of Exile 1, which essentially lets you like turn a rare item back into a white item, and it's broken in Path of Exile 1 for that reason, because you just well, also like in Path of Exile 1, Chaos Orbs reforge like all the stats, so you just Chaos spam, or like there's multiple ways of Chaos spam, but you just essentially just Chaos spam, reforge all the items until you hit triple tier 1 implicits. Or sorry, triple tier 1 prefixes or suffixes, and then you have a bunch of ways to just like craft conditionally or what's it called? Like what's it? Deterministically craft the last two on. So is this gonna be good for mirror crafters? Let me think. Will this be good for mirror crafters? You would chaos spam. No. I don't think so. It depends on if it overwrites whittlings. Oh, I forgot about whittlings. This is really good for mirror crafters. This is actually broken for mirror crafters because you can whittle shit off. I forgot about that. So you chaos spam until you hit like 2 out of 4, or sorry, 2 out of 3 of the last 4, and then you can theoretically whittle craft the last tier 1 on. Yeah, this is insanely good for mirror crafting. I'll give you something to fracture. Pants grab. Okay. So this is insanely good for mirror crafting, but like pretty much just that. Yeah.
With the right mod, it can play into the next. Let's have a toys that we have reduced, and indeed, remaining map. You must mean we've had a lot. Do you have a busy work? Air tier maps and mechanics is overlap, even more, including bosses. One which has an affinity for ice, the other fire. Who will win? Hopefully neither. But
there's actually like a lot you can do. Fuck, there's like a lot you can do with the fracturing orb. I just realized. I don't know if I want to leak it, but yeah, there's a lot you can do with fracturing orbs. Now that I think about it.
The boss of the Sinking Spire map is a remnant of the effectively certainly. Yeah. It changes technical content item. Making a change to the drop pin. For example, Hand of Wisdom in action can only come from a key dropped by Zesht. We're also making a change that allows Pinnacle boss uniques to drop at any difficulty. Rarer uniques will be rarer at lower difficulties, but still possible to find. This applies to the drop charges for the reliquary keys from this content as well. We spoke about towers and tablets earlier, but it allows you to run any map in a tower's radius without requiring connections, which can be quite useful for jumping gaps and traveling around your atlas.
Oh, that's actually
This
really
unique
good.
tablet, we have also added a suite of unique tablets.
That's actually really
without
good.
Expedition encounters to we've added recon familiar to some players. It allows you to merge two items together, hoping to get the best elements of each needed to change. Recombination is a mechanic that might be familiar to some players. It allows you to merge two items together, hoping to get the best elements of each on a single new item. This new crafting bench will be unlocked.
I'm pretty sure they said that this is going to be work differently than like they just showed.
As you complete your first expedition, and requires artifacts found during expeditions to fuel it. The rarer the mods on the item you are
Dude, look at this. Pepega, I love gambling. Gamba, www, crafting.
combining, the more expensive the cost. That wraps up all the major in-game.
Okay, so I don't know, man. It's not looking great. I mean, it's not looking bad, but I thought there'd be like, I thought they introduced a little bit more like OP shit. Like, I think Recombobinator is gonna suck. Because the guy said if it fails, item is destroyed, and he was saying 35% chance for 2 mods. So you can't, like, in PoE1, you actually would craft Recombobinator rares, and then to recombob, like, OP items. But I don't know if that's possible with 35% chance to get 2 mods. Like, and if it doesn't hit, it just gets destroyed. And also, it's like lower chance the rarer the mobs are, or rarer the mods are. So it's like you could only really use this to recycle failed crafts. But at the same time, like, aren't failed crafts, like, when are you actually gonna, like, when are you actually going to recombob your failed craft? Especially early on in the league, like when everything is worth something. Like, your failed crafts are gonna be worth something. So, like, why would you ever recombob? Addicted
Alia just subscribed.
Thanks for the
2
resub, man.
months.
2 months. Yeah, it's fucking, I don't know. I think, like, this essence is kind of a dud as well. It's only usable on belts, but there's 3 more. I think there's 3 more essences that they haven't showed. Recombobinator, that, like, they just said that they're still working out the specifics for it. Fracturing orbs is gonna be broken, I'm pretty sure. Well, maybe that's not true. Actually, I don't even think fracturing orbs will be broken. No, it will be broken. Yeah, it will be. Not really. Because the thing is, like, all fracturing orbs does is helps you get to 4 affixes faster, which is obviously still good. I don't know, man. Because whittlings are so expensive that, like, odds are you're probably only using whittlings. Because the thing is, the fracturing orb still makes it so you have to exalt slam the last 2 suffixes. So, like, you're still probably gonna have to spend like 100 div on a fractured whatever. You have to spend 100 div to get a fractured base, a perfectly fractured base, to 4 affixes, and then, which is, I guess that's how much like a triple tier 1 base would cost. Oh no, it's broken. It's actually broken. It's broken for mirror crafting. Because what you do is you just triple tier 1. Oh, it's actually so broken. Because what you do is you triple tier 1. Like if you're fractured is a prefix or a suffix, you just triple tier 1 the opposite one. So if it's like if you're fractured as a prefix, and if you can triple tier 1 the suffixes, then you only need to hit 2 prefixes in order to have a perfect roll, whatever, which is really good for for whittling, or not whittling, for omen crafting, because you can just omen re-roll your prefixes. So it's gonna make mirror crafting a lot cheaper to do on a fractured base. Yeah, so fracturing is gonna be really broken, I think. Hopefully omens are more common. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think omens. I mean, I think it would be better for the community if omens are cheaper. But that's the only like end game crafting that is in the game. So I doubt it's ever gonna be cheap. They pretty much lied to us about making omens appear in more windows. Wait, what do you mean? Omens are significantly more common? Oh, really? Okay. Wait, where did they say that? Oh, I must have missed that. Okay, if omens are more... Okay. That's really good then. If omens are more common, then crafting mirror items are going to be so easy this league. Like, yeah. Hello, what's up, Pick? So it looks like fracturing. So my understanding, there's a lot of questions that still need to be asked. Okay, hold on. Let me reformat this and summarize everything really quickly. You can't just have 2 notepads out. You should be, right? Here we go. So this probably not good based on the talismans we've seen. Wait, what's it called? What are those red orbs called? Like that you can put into that you can socket, that give you like plus like 2% mana, or like all res. Soul cores. Soul okay. So for these new +1 -1 rings, I don't think new +1 -1 rings. I don't think not better. I just don't think they're better. They're just not better than breach rings. I don't really see a case where they're better. I really don't see a case where they're better. Red Orb, that's our streamer. This guy made multi-mirrors from nothing. Yes. I definitely didn't make them from the red orbs. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, I just really can't imagine a world where these are better. Like, I think, like, for most builds, yeah, for most builds. Oh, yeah. You're like comedian over here. For most builds, the prefixes and suffixes are relatively balanced. And the thing is, 50% more. 50% more affix, or 50% more value on a breach ring is already pretty much having an extra prefix, right? Like if you have 3 best in slot prefixes and you get 50% bonus on that, that's 1.5 versus 0.6, right? So if you have 3 prefixes slash 3 perfect prefix or suffix, right? Then 1.5 bonus from breach ring equals a 1.5 or equals 3 times 1.5, which equals 4.5 minus 3 equals 1.5. So you essentially get a bonus 1.5 what's it called? Like you get an extra 1.5 affix, right? From breach rings. All right. With 4 suffixes or with 4 prefix slash suffix, then you get 1.2 times 4, which equals to 4.8, right? Which equals to 1.8 bonus prefix slash suffix. But you only get 2 times 1.2, which equals 2.4 of the like suffix or prefix that you're not boosting, right? Whereas here you still get 3.5, or so you still get 4.5 of the other pre slash suff. So essentially, in order to gain 0.3 bonus prefix slash suffix, you lose 2.1 of the other prefix slash suffix. Do you have 2 monitors? Yes. Like you guys see what I'm saying here? So in order to gain a 0.3 bonus on your prefix or suffix, you have to lose okay, so in order to gain like a third of an affix, you have to lose 2 prefixes or suffixes. So in order to gain like a third of a prefix, you have to lose 2 suffixes. That's kind of how it works. Or the value of 2 suffixes. It's just not worth it. It's almost never worth it for rings because of the breach ring bullshit, right? Amulets, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Because amulets don't have broken bases like breach rings, except maybe spirit base for 60 spirit. Why are you calculating as if you can quality prefix and suffix? I'm calculating because you can quality them. You can quality them. What do you mean? Maybe I definitely explained this poorly. So the best way you can look at it is this, right? You get 6 affixes, right? So breach ring. You get 6 affixes. What is this called? New ring. Right? You can get 6 affixes. So on a breach ring, these 6 affixes are multiplied by 1.5, right? So you get like essentially 9 affixes from a breach ring, if that makes sense. With the new +1 -1 ring, you can only multiply these 6 affixes by 1.2. So that equals to around 7.2 affixes. The benefit to this, but you can get 1.2 times 4, 4.8 of a prefix or suffix. So you can technically, if there are prefixes or suffixes that are like way better than the alternatives, like for example, rings, right? The most valuable stats are attributes. These are way better, right? You get a little bit more juice than a breach ring, just on the prefix or suffix, but you lose out on the prefixes on the other one. So I don't think that this will ever be better than a breach ring, unless they nerf breach rings. But these new rings, I don't think they're good, right? I don't think these new rings are going to be good. The amulets, I'm not so sure about, because the amulets, the bases aren't even good. Or that's not true. They're not that good. Like, they're not broken like breach rings. Like, breach rings are actually broken. Like, no other base like compares at all to breach rings, right? But for amulets, the only base that's like actually kind of broken is a spirit base to make 60 spirit on your amulet. Besides that, the spirit bases, they don't matter. Like, if you lose whatever, it's like not that big of a deal, right? Like, let me take a look. Oh wait, amulets, items. I just want to see the items. The bases. Okay. Okay, so what do you lose? 30% mana regen, like that's good. Life regen, that's also like that's trash. I mean, but no one even builds around these. I mean, you pretty much just want rarity. I guess you can go all attributes is fine. It's like not even that. Like, I mean, 15 int, like, is that game changing? No. But like, if you can get if you can get quad. If you can get quad attributes instead of that, like, that's not bad, right? April 4th, this league starts. January 6th, part 2. So like, there is a world where like amulets this could work for, but like, I don't know. Like, you can go quad attributes, 30 spirit, crit chance, all skills. I don't know. Like, there is like an option here. Yeah, like that actually could work. Because like, do you benefit from plus skills on this attribute stacking build, like the gemling attribute stacking? I think you it's not bad, right? So you could theoretically go like quad attributes plus skills and then like spirit or like rarity. And I think the amulets, there's potential. Like, you can go dual crit for... No, you can't go dual crit. But you can go, like, quad attribute, crit chance, plus spirit, right? On your amulet before you have an Astromentus. And, like, that would actually have potential. But the rings, I think, is just dead in the water. Because breach rings are too OP. Sniping your theories, Mr. Farmer, that's all good. Okay, what else do I have? New essences. New essences. So they only showed one, and it's only usable on belts, right? But this is theoretically usable. Like, I would say early mid league before ingenuity. Okay. It's definitely gonna be reliant on the price of the essences. And also dependent on the ingenuity nerfs. But like, this essence essentially makes it so belts are like, this is how you have to craft belts, right? This essence is how you craft belts. No other way. There's no other way. Because it essentially gives you 7 affixes on your belts. And not just that, right? Not just that, but like, if we take a look at the belts, where is it called? Am I blind? Oh, here we go. If we look at the attributes the affixes on belts, okay, so I remember I made a video on this. So like, I know for a fact belts suck, right? Like, you only want 2 prefixes, right? You only care about mana and life. And like, some of the times you don't care about one or the other, right? Like, armor's dead stat, thorns dead stat, these recovery rates dead stat, charm effect dead stat. You want tri-res or a charm slot, right? tri-res or a charm slot. So if you can get like dual res or tri-res, or like, so if you can get tri-res or dual res with a charm slot and then life mana, like you don't care about these other prefixes, right? So if you can get this whole like what is it called? This corruption implicit in lieu of like a shitty ass prefix, and you still get life or mana, then you essentially have like an 8, like you have a 7 affix belt when the maximum you can get is 5, right? Like for the most part, you want 3 good suffixes, and then you want like either life and mana, or just life or just mana, right? You don't care about these other at all. So theoretically, this essence makes rare belts like, it makes rare belts 2 affixes better. So you only care about like, so you want like 5 of the suffixes, but only 1 to 2 of the prefixes. So this corruption mod doesn't actually take a prefix you want. So you theoretically can get 7 affix belts or rare belts when before you get a max of 5. Does that make sense? Yes. And I would have to look at the pool of enchants. But I think the enchant pool for belts is also pretty solid. So this essentially is the only way to craft rare belts. And I think, assuming that ingenuity is going to be a lot worse, or a lot rarer, these are going to be the belts you're going to be using for the first week, right? Like, without a doubt in my mind, these are the rare belts that you're going to be using in the first week. So this is actually broken. Because you can craft 7 affix belts when before the max you could craft is 5. I mean, theoretically, did they say like
Of this.
Did they say which affix it steals? Or is it just random? I'm assuming it's random.
Used on the belt will
Prefix.
guarantee adding 2 inch.
Yeah, so I think it's probably random. So you have a 50-50. So then you essentially have a 50-50 for 7 affix belt, 50-50 for 6 affix belt. But again, you have to keep in mind, base belt, baseline belts only have 5 affixes. So early on, crafting a good belt could be really good currency. Yes, I think so. I hate how they always give us small amounts of crack at a time. Just give us the whole rock, ruin us. Yeah. So it looks like it's 50-50. But it's always like, even if you miss your 50-50, it's still better than the baseline belt, which is a 5 affix belt, right? So this is going to be actually turbo broken. Okay, so fracturing orbs. This shit is also going to be turbo broken, but it's only going to be good. It's only going to be good for mirror crafters. That's the only use for fracturing orbs. And the reason why this is broken is essentially it allows you, like, say you can fracture a tier 1 like prefix, right? You can then craft 3 3 tier 1 prefix or suffixes onto the item, right? This will cost a ton of money. It'll cost a ton of money to do this, right? Like probably like 100+ div in the early league, right? Realistically, probably like 1,000+ div, right? But if you can get an item with tier 1 prefix fractured on and triple tier 1 suffixes, then you can just omen craft. it makes omen crafting the last two prefixes like probably like 80% cheaper. And this is where the most expensive part of mirror crafting is. Right? Because instead of like when you finish, usually like the way you start off with a triple tier 1 mirror base. Actually, yeah. I mean, usually the hardest part is finishing off a craft, right? And this makes it like incredibly easy. Because like now you only need to craft double tier 1. Tier 1 at the end of a mirror craft. Right? So you only need to hit 2 tier 1s instead of 3, which is like incredibly easy. Incredibly easy. Just it's insanely easy. So compared to crafting 3 tier 1s with essences. So fracturing orbs changes mirror crafting, but most of us will never use this, right? This is something that only like the top 0.001% of players will actually be able to use. But it does change the end game of crafting. Let's see. Multiple portals for maps now. Hoa. So I think, I mean, I don't know if this is technically crafting. I mean, it kind of is, but like it from the teaser, it seems like Hoa and maybe Ingenuity and maybe even Warrior. Probably not Warrior though. Will only drop from relic keys. So this means hugely reduced drop rates, but perhaps no actual nerfs to items. Oh, probably not. Probably not Warrior. If this is the case, this affects how like what we craft and what builds are viable immensely. Because if Ingenuity and Hoa are not nerfed, then that means breach rings are going to be are still going to be broken to craft, but less accessible, right? Less accessible as well. Those will just be variants of the items designed by supporter players. Oh, okay. Okay. Dude, Chinese Bible. That shit's so funny. Okay, so if this is not the case, then they're just gonna nerf the shit out of Hoa and Ingenuity. In which case, that means it's more likely that these belts are gonna be broken. That's fine. I know this content isn't for me, but surely there's an actual best time ever in history to put Subway Surfers bottom right. Okay, Recombinator. This shit, I mean, they've admitted they're still developing this. Right? But they said if it fails, the item is destroyed. And they gave an example, 35% chance for 2 mods. So what this means is you can combine 2 items, and I think you can select the number of mods you want to keep. And the more mods you select, and the rarer the mods are, the lower likelihood of successfully combining them. In PoE 1, this shit is absolutely broken because there's no chance to destroy the item, I'm pretty sure. And the chance of combining is actually pretty high. So I'm pretty sure in PoE 1, this is like the best method for crafting, like for profit crafting. Not necessarily maybe mirror crafting, but for profit crafting, this is like one of the best methods of crafting because you just find items with like a bunch of tier 1s on them. Like you can find an item with like double tier 1 prefix and then single tier 1 prefix on the other one, combine them, hit triple tier 1 prefix, and then you start crafting on that. Or even like, yeah, something like that. But I think in PoE 2, like PoE 2, there's a price of like 100 whatever currency. What is it called? expedition currency, right? This is going to be pretty expensive. This is pretty expensive because that's probably going to be like a div, right? For most of the league, especially people use it a lot. But like, the odds of hitting are too low unless the numbers are tweaked. Buffed. This won't be good for crafting at a higher level because the numbers just don't add up. Right? So I think the only case you'd use this would be like recycling your failed crafts. But like early league, even failed crafts are worth money. So like my perspective is that like Recombobinator is not going to be like this. My prediction, this is shit unless Giga buffed. Yeah. That's my takeaway. Yeah, that's my takeaway for sure. So I guess to reiterate everything, to summarize everything. Talismans, right? These are like an alternative to runes / soul cores. You put them in the sockets. From what we've seen, we've only seen 3. And they're not good. Like the 3 that we've seen are not good. None are better than soul cores, and like situationally, some might be better than runes, but like they're not going to be that good. These like they're only going to be useful, good for early mid game before you can afford soul cores, and that's conditionally as well, because a lot of the times they're just not even going to be better than runes. Okay, the new 1-to-1, the +1 -1 rings. These just, unless I'm missing something, these are just not going to be better than breach rings. I mean, I go over the math here a little bit, but essentially, a breach ring turns 6 affixes into 9, right? Because you get a 50% bonus to each affix. The new +1 -1 ring, and any ring, can only have 7.2 affixes, just because of the 20% multiplier that you can get on normal rings, right? So you're losing 1.8 affix to get an additional suffix but lose a prefix, or gain additional prefix but lose a suffix, right? If and like even at the best, right? Even like say you get like 4 prefixes, you're only getting 4.8 value of those prefixes, right? Whereas for only 3 prefixes for the breach rings, you're getting what? You're getting 4.5 value, right? 3 times 1.5. So you're only getting an additional 0.3 value on whatever prefix or suffix that you get like from the base ring, but you're losing like 2.1 affix worth of value on like the prefix or suffix that you're missing out on. So like I can't, like, because breach rings are so OP, I cannot imagine a world where these new +1 -1 rings are going to be valuable. I just can't see it. The amulets I'm not sure about, because amulets don't have broken bases like breach rings, right? The bases are good, like they definitely have value. Like getting spirit, like the one caveat is there is a broken base, which is spirit bases, because the spirit base is the only way where you can get 60 spirit on your amulet, and that is incredibly valuable, but also incredibly rare. I would say, but at the same time, I would say losing out on like 15 int or like 15 dex or like 15 item rarity to have an additional prefix or suffix, like that theoretically could be good, because you could get something like, because it's +2 -2, right? So you could theoretically get like 4 attributes and then like +3 melee skills, or like 4 attributes and then like crit chance or crit bonus for your attribute stackers, assuming that they're still good, right? That might be good. Or you can theoretically get like spell damage, spirit, item rarity, double ES, and then +3 projectiles for like a spark build. That I could see being good too. That I could see being better than like another amulet. That makes sense to me. But breach rings are too broken. I can't see a world where the rings are better than breach rings. The new essences, we've only seen 1, right? We've only seen 1, but this is going to be broken, I think, because Well, number one, Ingenuity is either going to get hard nerfed in terms of like the value it gives, or it's going to have the drop rate nerfed incredibly, like by like a incredibly high amount, right? So if that's the case, it means that like either the value that the Ingenuity gives is a lot lower, or that the cost to buy it is going to be a lot higher. In either case, that means that most players are going to be using rare belts for the majority of the first like 2 or 3 weeks of the league. So why is this broken then? It essentially gives you a 7 affix belt because it removes 1 affix that you can have, right? Because most belts can have up to 6. It removes 1 affix and gives you 2 implicits, right? It's not that good. It's maybe 6.5 because the implicits aren't as good as actual affixes, right? 6.5, I should say. And the key thing here though is that for belts, right? The affixes, there's like 5 affixes that you want. Charm slot, and then like the 4 resistances. Maybe strength depending on your build, right? But for the prefixes, there's only 2 prefixes you want. Life and mana. Armor is kind of trash unless they buff armor a shit ton. Thorns is like the worst. Like this might as well just be like -1 affix. Life, mana, charm effect. These are all okay, but like you don't really care about them. These provide almost no value from a trade perspective, right? You're never thinking, oh, I hit flash recovery rate. Like my belt is worth 5x more now. Like you just don't really care about that really, unless something changes. I mean, like there is a case for them to have value, but it's not. These are like half an affix or like a third of an affix at most worth of value. Okay, so most of the time these rare belts, and this is why rare belts kind of suck, is that like you can only really roll 5 affixes on these belts. 3 out of the 5 really good suffixes, and then like 1 to 2 prefix, which is like mana or life. And keep in mind that like some builds don't care about life. Like if you're a Chaos Inoculation build, which like 70% of builds were, you don't care about life. So then you only really care about mana. And like some builds like don't even care about mana either. So it's like the reality of the situation is like at most you're hitting like 2 good prefixes, right? You're hitting like 2 good prefixes at most. So at most a belt will have 5 prefixes. So if you can have your if you can have the essence roll the corruption mod and have 3 suffixes, then you can essentially get a 6.5 affix belt, assuming that like the 2 suffixes, or sorry, the 2 implicits are worth like 1.5 of an affix. Okay, so this is going to be broken. Like this is going to be really good for crafting belts. The assumption has to be though that like, you know, they're not incredibly expensive. If they're like a div each or like 3 divs each, then like maybe not, right? But I would imagine that they're probably going to be like a third of a div to half a div, especially early on in the league. Okay. The next thing, fracturing orbs. This is going to be absolutely broken for mirror tier crafting. But like the common man, like you or I, we're not going to be able to utilize this. Because essentially what this fracturing orb does is it fractures 1 affix. I think you need to have up to 4 affixes in order for it to work. But if you have a rare item with 4 affixes, it fractures 1 of them so that it's no longer removable. So in the example that GGG gave, let me find this shit. I'll find it in a bit, but like I can just describe it. I think everyone's seen it. In the example they gave, there was an amulet with 4 affixes, and then like it had like +3 to minion skills, and they hit the 1 and 4 to fracture the minion skills. Right? And then that means that like that minion skills can never be removed. So if you chaos spam that ring or that amulet, you will never lose that +2 to minion skills. So this is really, really good for like late game mirror crafting. Because you can hit, like it just makes it a lot easier to hit 6 tier 1s or like 6 really, really high tier affixes on whatever item. So this I was pretty much wrong on, I think, or I'm not sure. Like this is different in PoE, or the way it works in PoE 1, I'm wrong on. But yeah, maybe we can just ignore this. Then, so like the last thing we really need to talk about is Recombinator. Or Recombinator. This shit is absolutely broken in Path of Exile 1, to my understanding. It essentially allows you to combine 2 items into 1, and you get to keep like certain affixes, or there's a chance to keep certain affixes. At least in PoE1, I think it's all like pretty like just Gamba. Like there's no like it's just like if you have 4 affixes, there's like an equal chance to keep any of those affixes. In PoE2, the way it works is the rare affixes have a lower percentage chance of staying on than like the less rare ones. And you can choose the number of affixes that you can keep. So if you want 6 out of 6 affixes, the odds of hitting that are a lot lower than if you only want 2 affixes between the 2 items that you're recombining. Okay. They gave an example. One other thing is that in PoE2, if the item fails to recombine, right? Like there's a chance that it recombines. If it fails, the item is destroyed. So there's not a lot of like failed craft resale value. That's bad. That's a -1 for recombing. Okay. Number 2 is that they gave an example that there's a 35% chance for 2 mods to hit. So you would imagine if it's like you want 4 mods, it's going to be like 10% or less, right? 3 mods is probably like 20%. I don't know. I'm just kind of like giving out ideas, or like I'm just kind of like back of the envelope calculations. So if that's the case, then it's very, very low likelihood to hit, right? Very, very low likelihood to hit. And like keep in mind, like the bases that you use for these are going to be pretty expensive. Like if you have like a base with like double tier 1, especially in the early game, like that's going to be really, really valuable. Like probably like a bunch of X at the very least, right? Like maybe 10X. And like keep in mind, like 10X might be like a fifth of a divine at this stage of the game. And you need to use that 2 times for a 35% chance to hit 2 mods. It just, the math doesn't add, the math ain't mathing on this. And not only that, but there's a 100 expedition currency price to even attempt this. So it's just like, it's so expensive. The odds of hitting are really low. It just doesn't make sense at the current iteration of how they set this up for this to work. It just doesn't seem good. The math ain't mathin'. Unless they giga buff the numbers on this, my prediction is that this mechanic is going to be absolute shit. The only situation where it could essentially give you any value on like an expected value an EV level is if you use it to recycle your failed crafts. But again, like I said, failed crafts early in the league have value, have a significant value, and also this 100 expedition currency price, I imagine, is going to actually be pretty expensive. Like I'm not sure how much this costs now, but like if this is like 10x, like a fifth of a divine, a tenth of a divine, then the price for this is just like so low, again, for the odds of hitting. And if you don't hit, again, your item is completely bricked. It's destroyed. So I don't think this is going to be good. Anyways, to summarize, talismans, I think, shit. Or at least like only useful like when you're leveling. New +1, -1 base rings, shit. There's like not even gonna be like they're just not even like the numbers don't add up to how they could ever compete to breach rings. It just doesn't make sense how they could ever compete or compare against breach rings. Breach rings are just too broken. Amulets, I'm not sure. There are some cases where like it would definitely be better to have this +1 -1 amulet over like the majority of amulet bases, because most amulet bases suck, with the caveat being spirit bases have the potential to be broken. I think amulets, there could be value here. The new essences, they only showed 1, which is the belt one, and I think this is going to be broken, especially with ingenuity nerfs. But these essences are going to be the only way to craft really good belts in the game. I go over the math a little bit here, but like it's just way better. Fracturing orbs, this is broken again, but only for mirror crafting, which is like 99.999% of people won't ever be able to do. And then the last thing, Recon Bob, which I just talked about, I think it's gonna suck unless it's giga buff. It just the math doesn't make sense. The math doesn't make sense at all for how this is good. Yeah. But like the caveat here is that like they have explicitly said that they're still tweaking this. Like they haven't finished developing this yet. And they might not even release this on 0.2. Wait, what time is it? 2:11. Okay. I just want to write this down because I might make a YouTube video out of this. Okay. Yeah. So what am I thinking of League starting with? That's a good question. So like, here's my prediction for league start. All right. I mean, for me, it doesn't really matter. Are you telling me? Are you telling us that you're scared of using the Recombinator, the guy that gave all mirror charts and hit the 2x Kuning champion, the 50-50 quant? Well, let me see what Hori sent me on Discord. Recombinator. Yeah, sorry. I don't know why my brain shuts off whenever I think about that. Okay. So, what was I saying? How am I going to league start? Okay, so my league start ultimately doesn't matter because I'm only going to be going into maps like briefly, right? Like I'm going to farm up a few div and then I'm going to start trading. So like, truthfully, like what build I go doesn't really matter. For you guys though, what I would recommend is to not go any of the new ascendancies. So what is that? Warrior. So what are the new ascendancies? Warrior, Sork, Huntress, and then what is it called? Merc, right? I would say build a character around any. So what's even left? It's Assassin, or sorry, is it Shadow? I forget what it's called. Monk. It's Monk. Monk and Ranger. I'm probably gonna go Ranger. These builds are gonna be like, people are gonna want to try these new builds, and as a result, they're gonna be incredibly expensive. All the gear for these builds are gonna be incredibly expensive, right? Your best bet, right? Like if you think about it, like Path of Exile, it's all about a curve, right? So if you're ahead of the curve, then you're gonna be making a lot more money. In order to get ahead of the curve on these builds, you're gonna have to be competing against the turbo sweats, right? But in order to get ahead of the curve on these builds, right, you're gonna be competing against like the noobs who like didn't know, or like the people who are just picking up the game and don't want to try these builds. All the turbo sweats are gonna be playing one of these 4 builds. I would say 90% of the people are playing Huntress, 10% of the people are gonna be playing, or like 8% of the people are playing Sork, and then like 1% Warrior, 1% Merc. So it's like Sork, no change, it's Witch. Oh, okay. Witch. Okay. What's up, man? Glad to see you're streaming. What are your thoughts on the stream? I'm pretty hyped personally. Oh, I kind of just did like a whole thing, a whole rundown on the stream. I think it's a lot of really good changes. I'm logging in for chaos.witch. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. I think Witch will be really popular. Maybe it'll be like 80% Huntress, like 15% Witch, 3-2. That's my guess. Like this, like 2%. No, I mean it's like 5%, 15%, 80%, or like 75, 78%, and then like 2%. So I'm pretty sure that the Merc thing, that like that did not like instill any, like that didn't really like speak to me at all. People love Warrior because it's melee. People are gonna like this Lich thing because like undead shit, and also it looks pretty broken. And then people are gonna want to try the new class for sure. And then Merc, I don't think people are gonna really try it. The Spectre build, oh, the Spectres, that's summons, right? I think that's gonna be broken as well, or that's gonna be a lot of fun. Anyways, my advice to you would be to try out playing Monk or Ranger. Probably Ranger. If you're like, your league start, I think your best bet for the league start is gonna be Ranger, because the gear is gonna be really inexpensive because everyone else is gonna be playing this shit, right? People are gonna be building like ES. Actually, you might share some like armor with Huntress, but like your weapon, which like your like quiver and bows, they're gonna be a lot cheaper than like javelins and like bucklers, or wands and focuses, right? Or maybe even like 2-hand maces. So I think like this shit is probably gonna be your best bet, since it clears the campaign really well and it does maps really well too. The only issue is like finding a build that makes it work. But that's kind of what I would recommend is to play the Ranger. And that's probably what I'm going to do as well on League Start. I'll go for Poison Concoction Pathfinder. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think I understood it properly, but are we getting a new league or no? Yes, we're definitely getting a new league. We're getting a new league for sure. But yeah, that's kind of where I stand now. No new act. I don't think there's a new act. Yeah, no new act. I don't think. I think they're probably gonna drop the new act in a set of 3. Like they're probably gonna set them all. I think they would have to set them all together, right? Because otherwise, how would it work? Like you do Act 1, 2, 3, 4, then you do 1 and 2 again, or like you do 3 and 4 again. It doesn't really make sense. If they didn't remove auto bombing from the game, I'm gonna be running that tech W. Yeah, but like that's the thing is like, so like keep in mind, guys, like for like the way it usually works in Path of Exile, right? League start is you have a starter, right? Where you like a cheap starter, and then you do actual broken build. So I'm suggesting you like your cheap starter is the ranger, and then you build up your currency, and then you play your actual broken build. This could be like Huntress, whatever, like witch, because you have the money from your first account or from your first character to fund the broken build, and these broken builds usually have high cost to enter, right? So my recommendation is you guys play Ranger as your league start, because it's going to be so uncompetitive in terms of items, right? You get to maps quickly. It does campaign really well, and it does maps really well too on a budget. And then you build up your currency, and then you respec and play your broken build. A cheap starter is Gemling Grenadier. That can work too. Honestly, like you could probably play Merc as well if you like it, because I doubt many people are going to be trying out the new Merc Ascendancy. But I would say like 99% of players are going to be playing one of these 4 builds. So if you play Monk Ranger, you should be fine. That's the best advice I can give you. My league starter was Frostwall. Yeah, I think Ranger is probably your best bet, honestly. Like Merc, if you like Merc and you know her really well, then you can play her. But I think Ranger is going to be your best bet because it's super easy to learn and it clears pretty quickly. And there's also a lot of guides on it already. Huntress looks so Huntress is going to be absolutely broken. So my advice for you guys, honestly, is league start Ranger, right? As your cheap build, and then you transition to a Hunter build once you have like. If you have more money than the Hunter players, then you could theoretically build, buy all the Hunter gear and then just play a broken Hunter build. That's gonna be my plan at least. I'm probably gonna league start Ranger first day, make a few div, pivot into Hideout Warrior for like a week, and then spend like 10 mirrors on a broken Huntress build and have some fun. Brayden, I mean, another thing to consider is like if you want to end Huntress, you can still play her as your league start. I mean, it's tough. All the Huntress gear is gonna be so. The Huntress gear is gonna be so fucking expensive. Is the only problem. That's the only problem. Huntress gear is gonna be so expensive. It's probably more efficient to run Ranger. But another thing to consider though is like if you want to end Huntress and you don't have the time to like play a Ranger build and then like do all this shit and then go back and then level up another Huntress build, like that's a lot of time investment. Right, that's like an extra like 10 hours of time investment. Not necessarily. It's probably still efficient, given the fact that you're gonna be making money faster. Ranger to endgame, swap to Sork or Huntress is what I'm gonna do. Yeah, that's my plan too. It'll be hard though because no one knows what will be good on Huntress. I mean, that's another thing, right? Is that like this Huntress build, it won't be perfected until like 4, 5, 6, 7 days into the league. So it's kind of perfect with this plan because you can try out you can play the Ranger, build up all your money, and while everyone's still figuring out like what's even good on the Huntress, you're just gonna be playing something that's like already tried and true. You're gonna build up all your currency, and then once people figure out like the Huntress build, you'll have the money to just build it yourself. Ranger will still be new to me, so kind of win-win. Yeah, that's a good idea. And there's a lot of guides on Ranger out there right now as well, so it should be pretty easy to build. But yeah, I think I'll probably play Witch, truthfully, because I love like summoning builds. I really like summoning builds. Lightning Arrow or Poison Conch? I'd probably go Lightning Arrow. That's kind of what my plan right now is Lightning Arrow. But yeah, it's looking good. It's looking real good. I'm really excited for this new league start. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities to make a shit ton of money, and also a lot of opportunities just to like play on a really fun new builds and new content. I think mapping is going to be a lot better with the buffs to the map or to the citadels or whatever they're called, towers. But yeah, cool. I mean, that's all. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, that's gonna be it for me. I'm gonna maybe put out a YouTube video, and I gotta go to a wedding tomorrow, so I gotta like pack and shit. But that was hype as fuck. The tower buff has to be hyped to push for 100. Yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff. You can use Lightning Arrow and Lightning Rod for leveling. Kind of start with whatever you want besides Warrior, maybe since he has a lot of melee nodes. I think Warrior is a good league start as well, because I mean, Warrior is the fastest campaign clearer, and it looks like they gave him some buffs. Like the new Ascendancy looks like trash, but it looks like there's some new melee skills that seem pretty broken. Goblin, everything you do, understood. Thanks. Okay. Like here's the thing: is like, truthfully, I'm not even worried about goblins. I'm gonna share all my strats with you guys in real time when I play a league start. So you could definitely goblin my strats. But like, I'm actually not even worried about the strat goblining, because if you're not ahead of the curve, then you won't even be able to goblin my strats. Unless you're a turbo sweat grinding 16 hours a day, like my strats will probably be too expensive for you to goblin. So I will share all my strats with you guys. I mean, the only problem is that like if it takes me too long to clear campaign, then like you guys will be ahead of me in terms of like having money to goblin my strats. So that's a problem. I'll have to figure that out. I'll have to figure out a solution to that. But anyways, I'm going to make a YouTube video. Like if you guys missed my whole like recap, I'm gonna make a YouTube video on just the crafting and trading aspect of the new patch, and I'll post that tonight as well. I should probably. Love that campaign carry. Oh yeah, maybe. That might be a play. Like theoretically, if I wait, guys, what do you guys think about this? Is this cheating? If I pay someone to carry me through campaign, is that cheating? Yay or nay? Like, is that considered solo play still? Like, if I'm paying them to carry? Bro, everyone will be carrying themselves. Well, I mean, like, if I like get like a speedrunner in my party and I just follow them, and then like they get me through campaign, and then I just pay them like a div or something when I get it. Like that might be the play. Because then I can get through campaign guaranteed in like 6.5 hours. I vote nay, but you're challenged, sir. You vote nay. Okay. No, it's important. I care about what you guys think. Like, I'm ultimately like everything I do is like for my fun, for like my personal enjoyment. But like, I'm gonna get personal enjoyment no matter what I do out of this league. So it's like ultimately it comes down to like what you guys want to see. But I think maybe nay, because like not everyone has access to that. I mean Elon, but I don't. Do I want to be like Elon? Maybe fuck. I'll learn the campaign. I'll be back from my wedding, or not my wedding, from the wedding on Sunday. So I'll have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to practice campaign. That's like 30 hours potentially. Okay, cool. Scamble X Farmer Door. That's hilarious. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go cut up this into a YouTube video and I'll post it up. But and I need to get ready for the wedding. But damn, I'm getting hype as fuck. I'm happy. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys, hey guys, if you have any ideas as well, like any strats that you want to share with me, I won't leak any of them. And if you don't want to use them as well, I won't use them. But like, definitely feel free to DM me and let me know what you guys are thinking. It's gonna be broken. All right. Anyways, 07 boys, I'm off. Hype for the new